Let's talk about GST. Now GST is short for Goods and Services Tax. So it's the amount of tax that you pay towards the government when you purchase goods or you pay money to receive services. So if you have a look here, guys, you might have seen something like this before when you purchase something, when you bought something. It's a little receipt or a tax invoice that you get. And you can see here, GST. That little section here, you can see that a GST is included. Now GST is 10% of the price of the item. So even if the question doesn't tell you, we always assume that it's a 10% GST. So that's something that we pay on top of all the goods and services, the initial price that we have to pay. But we also have GST included. So remember, GST, goods and services tax, is 10% of the price of the item or service. So let's try that, apply those knowledge to the questions. So we'll start straight on to question 1. The selling price of a glass of juice is $5 plus 10% GST. And we want to find the GST payable first. So the GST, they tell you it's 10%. And the juice is $5, isn't it? So to find the GST, we're simply going to do 5 times the 10%. And 10% is 0.1, isn't it? So you can convert it to a decimal if you like. And then if you multiply it, we get 0.5. Now this is in dollars, so if you like, you can change it to 50 cents. Yeah, either way is fine. Now, B, it's asking us to find the selling price. Now, as the question tells us, the selling price is $5 plus the 10% GST. We found the GST, didn't we? It was 50 cents. So on top of the $5, we'll add the 50 cents. So it will simply be $5.50. That's the selling price. So it's more than the initial price of the juice. Makes sense, guys? It's because GST has been applied. Let's move on to question 2. Find the selling price, including GST, of a pizza priced at $12.50. Now, GST, although they don't tell us, guys, we're going to assume that GST is 10%. Now, on top of the $12.50, we have to add on top of that the GST of 10%. Now, an easy way to do it is if $12.50 is the 100% value, on top of that, we're going to add 10%. So altogether, it's 110% that we're paying. So we'll simply do $12.50, times by 110%. Make sense, guys? And then you'll get the answer straight away. 110% is simply 1.1, and you can multiply it together and get $13.75. Now, if you like to do it maybe the longer way, you can actually calculate 10% of $12.50 and then add it on to $12.50. But then this is a shortcut, so you can just do it like this if you understand how I got 110%. Make sense, guys? So you can see that we're paying actually more than the initial price of the pizza because GST has been included. Alright, question 3. Find the original price of a bag if its selling price includes GST. If the selling price of including GST is this, $770. So this is the price including the GST. So GST of 10% is included all in here. So guys, what I'm going to do is let the original price be P without the GST, okay? So the P is the original price. Now, because GST is 10%, we have to apply 110% to the initial price in order for us to get to the selling price, isn't it? So I'm going to write that. The initial price, the original price P, times by 110% will be equal to the selling price. Now they tell us what the selling price is. It's 770, isn't it? So I'm going to replace the selling price with 770. So now all we need to find is P. So because we're multiplying by 110%, let's go ahead and divide it by 110%. Well, first of all, I've changed it into a decimal for you, and then we'll do the division. So 770 divided by 1.1 will simply be something like this, $700. So the original price is $700, but because we added on top of that a 10% GST, that's why this is the selling price. Make sense, guys? So that was GST.